uneven pay, gender disparity, the patriarchy. These are the factors that contribute to the gender inequality faced predominantly by women in our society, not excluding in the workforce. But how exactly do these affect women in their workplace? And is there any way that we can tackle this matter? Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Abang Danish Ameer and I am from JLG1201A. And today I have set the table for discussion regarding gender inequality in the workplace. But before we begin, let's take a look at what the statistics have to say about this. According to an article published by The Edge in October 4 of 2024, it has been recorded that women's labor force participation in Malaysia has seen a 19% increase over the last 53 years. However, despite these achievements, women's labor force participation remains at 25% below men's and hasn't increased in recent years. As you can see, despite these achievements, we are nowhere close to achieving favorable numbers when it comes to women's participation in the workforce. Now, let us dig deeper to see how these inequalities affect women. Data from the Department of Statistics Malaysia on socio-economic gender parity only confirms the deep-seated stereotypes in the Malaysian labor force. Moreover, of the 6.45 million people that are working in Malaysia, more than half of them are men, and only 44.5% of them are women, making them less than half of the overall labor force. Not only that, but women also trail in earning capacity. On average, they take home a much lesser amount than men do, as seen here. To put simply, career fields currently are filled predominantly by men, and women who are working get paid significantly less than men on average, due to them barely having access to higher paying jobs even today, despite the 19% increase stated earlier. In accordance with an article published by the International Institute for Management and Development, IMD, gender stereotypes disadvantage women and even disregard their input before it can even be shared. This is due to the unconscious bias that women are more emotional and therefore less rational than men. What I meant by this is that a female employee's idea might be overlooked in favor of one raised by her male counterpart. One example of how gender stereotype presents itself in workplace is how qualities like intelligence and agency are assigned to men versus women. Gender stereotypes often reframe these qualities to portray women as bossy, whereas in men, they are considered good leadership skills. Simply put, when a woman shows authority in a workplace, she is often viewed in a negative light. However, if a man does the same thing, he is often respected and looked up upon, as he exhibits exceptional leadership qualities. The last point that I will be elucidating for today is something that is very troubling and yet prominent that occurs quite a lot, and that is sexual harassment. By law, sexual harassment includes any unwanted conduct that is sexual in nature and can be by way of physical, verbal, or gestural actions. Now, let us take a look at this clip from a post made by Maya Alexis on YouTube, where she talked about her experience of being stalked and sexually harassed during her internship.
During my first day of my first internship, I met a janitor that I briefly said hello to in passing on my way to my desk. From that moment on, I saw that man frequently, multiple times a day. Over time, I started to realize that I saw him more than I saw any of the other janitors that worked in my building. In the morning, he would be sitting in chairs near my desk that I had to walk past to get to my seat. In the mid-mornings, he would be standing near a door that I had to walk past to get to a conference room because I had a daily meeting in there. In the afternoons, he would frequently take out the trash near my desk. My desk was near a trash can, and I would constantly feel him looking at me to the point where I would sunk down in my desk so that the protector near my desk would cover me from seeing him, because I just felt like he was staring at me. I even got my coworker to watch him at one time where he was taking out the trash to see what does he actually do when he's taking out the trash, because he would take a long time to just get the bag out the trash can. When my coworker was watching him, she said he stared at me the entire time, which is really creepy to me.
As you can see in the video, she mentioned how she was stalked and sexually harassed by a male janitor, even at her own cubicle in the office, which made her extremely uncomfortable. In accordance to this, studies show that up to 53% of women have experienced some form of sexual harassment at work, which leads them to feel threatened and unsafe, which then costs their productivity and, of course, their safety. Now that we have a better understanding of how gender inequality presents in workplaces, how about we put our heads together to find ways to tackle this issue and supersede it? Following an article published by The Sun, according to Amanda Lewis, who is the Information and Communications Officer of the All Women's Action Society, the gender pay gap is a long-standing and pervasive global issue. Adding on, Lewis believed that the government and private sector should be serious about ensuring staff are fairly compensated, especially since the pay gap is becoming more common. She also added, businesses should play an active role in promoting gender pay equality by adopting skill-based assessments, promoting women to leadership roles, and by practicing pay transparency during recruitment. Organizations and companies can provide women with opportunities to develop skills and become tech-savvy. One way to achieve this is by holding workshops for technology-related skills. Some women already possess the knowledge and skills to work in both technical and technological fields. However, by holding these workshops, women who lack the knowledge and/or skill can still widen their career choices with higher salaries. In accordance with an article published by Better Up, between 40 to 160 million women globally are estimated to transition into higher skilled jobs by 2030, which could lead them to more productive and better paying work. For people who have been or are still being harassed in their workplace, here are some steps they can take to report the harassment. According to the All Women's Action Society, the first thing you should do is to document the incident. You may include details such as the place, date, time, the nature of harassment, the harasser, and also your relationship to them. You may also save any evidence that you may have from the incident, such as notes, messages, photos, audio recordings, and videos. If your harasser works at the same place, you may lodge a written complaint to your Human Resources Department. This is where the evidence comes into play. When you write the report, you should include all the details and provide evidence that you have that relates to the harassment. For women who were harassed, they can reach out to women's rights NGOs such as the All Women's Action Society, as I mentioned before, or the Women's Aid Organization, among others. These NGOs provide services such as counseling and provide ways on how to take legal action against your harasser. So based on what is known at this point in time, in Malaysia, gender inequality is still an ongoing issue, even in workplaces, and if left unchecked, can grow into a much larger problem. However, we mustn't fret. as there are several agencies and independent organizations, with the help from the government, are actively combating against this widespread issue. In short, hope is not lost, as we can still stand against this matter and perhaps even eradicate it altogether. Here's for a better future. Thank you for listening and goodbye.